Thank you so much for actually, being with us. In the previous session, we have heard a lot about the role of nature-based, but we are also very mindful, as what Shafiq has mentioned. Actually, about 75% of the emissions globally is actually contributed by the energy sector. And specifically within the ASEAN region, there's about more than 4 billion tons of emissions that are actually coming just from the energy sector, of which 86% of them is actually contributed by the power generations, transportation, as well as the industrial activities. So on this particular platform, I am really very fortunate to be flanked by all the top-notch companies and organizations in Malaysia that are actually charting in terms of the energy transition. We have Muhammad Irwan, of course, from Sarawak Energy, Nur Hafifi Jalal from UEM Lestra, Azira Azizan from Corporate Sustainability of Petronas, and Rick On from the Zaxxon's Renewables. Now, I'm just going to go through the first round of discussion quite quickly. The first round of discussion, I'm going to ask my panelists, everyone to give a very quick self-introduction about themselves and also about their organizations, what the organization is specifically doing in terms of the energy transition. Maybe starting off with Irwan. Irwan, we know that, of course, Sarawak Energy is a vertically integrated power utility and energy development company owned by the Sarawak government, and your renewable capacity is impressive. 60% is actually from the large hydro. Now, what are your energy transition initiatives that Sarawak Energy is currently embarking on? A quick introduction first. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Winnie. As Dr. Winnie mentioned, I'm heading the corporate sustainability department within Sarawak Energy that basically setting the strategy in moving forward, as well as embedding best practices, standards, and so on. So that's our main role within Sarawak Energy. In terms of transition, so I think the significant one will be when we start off to commit to science-based targets, and then we get that approved, validated by SBTi in 2022, November 2022, followed by the development of our sustainability strategy and roadmap. All right, so this roadmap, there are 5 main themes: sustainable leadership, sustainable growth, business resilience, climate action, and then workforce and supply chain. So this is the 3 main themes, and it will be supported by various strategies, including energy transition. And the energy transition is parked under business growth for us. So this strategy set what we need to do within Sarawak Energy. So all these are anchored toward 1.5 degrees C targets, as well as our net zero. So there are 3 main pillars. Number 1, to implement our 1.5 degrees C. This will be including to increase our RE capacity as well as generation mix. Secondly, improve our efficiency. Thirdly, to diversify into other RE, for example, solar, BES, and so on. Product consumption, improve our product consumption, responsible consumption and production, and then as well as to explore carbon market and then derivative. This is where carbon credits and REC coming in. So I just would like to, we are not limiting ourselves to the nature-based, but we're also exploring tech-based as well. So we have few in the pipeline that we are looking at. And then for nature-based, significant development last month, where we get the study permit from Forestry Department. So hopefully that will be our first nature-based project. And then REC, this will be together with Bursa. This will be this morning, the signing of MOC. Thank you so much, Bursa, for supporting us in this. And then that's where our energy transition, the foundation of our energy transitions. And all this will be monitored and updated up to our board sustainability committee. I think that's where our energy transition, what we are doing. I think there are a lot more activities tied to this. For example, our Bali projects, that will be increasing our generation mix. BESS projects is part of exploring new low carbon technology, that improving our grid emission intensity. That's part of improving our efficiency. I think that's just in a nutshell what we are doing in terms of energy transitions. There are a lot more, but that's the key one I would like to highlight. Thank you.
Thank you, Erwan. Maybe I would like to follow up a very quick question. I do know that Sarawak Energy for decades have already been developing large hydro. Now, large hydro has never been easy. You have a lot of challenges with, there are always rural community that's protesting, NGOs as well on environmental and community issues. I think the key thing that we would like to hear from you would be, what are the lessons that you have learned over the 3 decades of developing such large-scale projects?
Yeah. In fact, ESG is a critical, the social part, basically the most difficult one to manage. So I think for Sarawak Energy, we have learned a lot, understanding the risk and opportunity in hydropower development. Again, the social. So how Sarawak Energy, how we overcome this, or basically how we properly mitigate and address this issue, basically aligning ourselves to international best practices. Okay, since 2010, we become members to International Hydropower Association. We commit to that particular standards. Okay, that was 2010. But we only get certified into 2025. So that's a journey for us to improve. Because this standard is not just a standard, it's not a checklist. Basically, it's defined how we should be addressing 12 ESG topics, starting from stakeholder engagement, indigenous right, environment, downstream flow, and then catchment management, and so on. All these are ESG topics. So all these standards guide us in defining, in assessing all this risk and opportunity. So using this standard, we are able to pinpoint what sort of practices that we need to improve, not only on the documentation part of it, but how we implement it on the ground. How to use FPIC in our engagement. So FPIC itself is quite a big topic, right? So we are fortunate and we are proud to say that our Bakun has been certified silver under the HSS, Hydropower Sustainability Standards. So basically it's the first large-scale hydro in ASEAN to get this certification. And it takes us 13 years to get to that level. So a lot of efforts, a lot of investment, a lot of capacity development been done, but all this reflect on what happened on the ground. Because the assessment itself is a triangulation process, all right? We look at how we assess, how the management plan has been developed, and how it's been executed on the ground, the review process, and all this, they look at the documents process, they interview the local communities, and then they look at others' documents, whether we fulfill the requirements. So it's quite an intensive exercise for us. And then we are quite glad that because of we are able to achieve certification, we are receiving the Blue Planet Award, which was received last month in Paris. So that's basically recognizing that we able to embed all these best practices.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, by the way, on the Sustainability Certification Award. And also, I think that all these benchmarks that you are actually adhering to international aligns very much with what has been mentioned in the earlier panels about even in the carbon market. We always need to align ourselves with the international benchmarks in order to find acceptability. Now, I'm going to pivot very quickly now to Mr. Hafifi. Mr. Hafifi, maybe if you could just quickly introduce yourself and also let us know within UEM Lestra, what are the energy transition initiatives that you're embarking on? Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Winnie. Thank you for the invitation for us to be here. And also thank you for the kind words. I'm not sure about being top-notch, but I will try my best to live up to the expectation. Yeah. So my name is, good Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hafifi. I'm the head of BD of UEM Lestra Berhad. I have been in industry for over 19 years. Started off my career in TMB as a system planner. Moved around within the TMB ecosystem, from planning to grid, from grid to retail, from retail to distribution, and some of the subsidiaries. The only subsidiary that I did not go to was generation. Yeah, because I did not want to end up in a remote rural area manning a hydropower plant. So yeah, that's the only division that I did not go to. So, and then in 2023, I moved to Gentari to join the green mobility team. And a few months after, someone in Kazana called me up, and then they asked me whether I want to help set up UM Lestra. So, which I did. I joined UM Lestra sometime in September 2023. Yeah, and here I am today. So before I explain further on UM Lestra, allow me to explain a little bit on the strategic positioning of UEM Group Berhad. UEM Group Berhad has long been Kazana's infrastructure investment arm, owning and operating Malaysia's most strategic national assets, from Plus Highway since the 1980s to the recently taken private Malaysian Airport, Malaysia Airport Holdings Berhad, sometime earlier this year. So UEM Lestra, being the youngest child of UEM Group Berhad, we are a dedicated decarbonization infrastructure investment arm for the group. So it started off with the flagship National Energy Transition Roadmap project that was mooted by Kazana and UM Group back in 2023. We are now currently developing a 1 gigawatt battery energy storage integrated solar farm down in Segamat, Johor. And that particular plant is expected to generate over 1 terawatt hour of green energy by 2028. So yeah, that is one of the largest, if not the largest, battery integrated solar farm here in Malaysia. So we are working on that. And on top of that, we are also working on few decarbonization projects within UM group of companies. Most of them are solar battery projects, and we are doing it to decarbonize our sister companies. The main reason that we are doing that is basically because as a trailblazer ourselves, we are trying to come up with a robust model for us to replicate throughout Malaysia once all of these projects can be taken off successfully. Besides that, we are also doing few acquisitions. We're hoping that we can acquire, enhance the performance of the plant, and produce more green energy into the system. So, in a nutshell, if I can summarize Lestra's strategy, it is based on 3 main themes: decarbonization of the grid, decarbonization of industrial parks and its tenants, and also decarbonization of the transportation industry. Oh, before I forget, it was also recently announced by the Prime Minister in the latest budget that we are also installing DC fast chargers along the Plus highways in collaboration with all the main charging point operators. Some of them which probably everyone would know, Charge EV, Gentari, TMB, and also EV Connection. So yeah, that's about us.
That's really very impressive, Hafifi. Within these 2 years, you've done amazing. But I want to very quickly pivot to the next question
All
for
right.
you. In the 2 years, I'm also very sure that you have faced some challenges and issues. And maybe you could also use this particular platform to quickly share about those challenges and issues, or what are the enablers that you think would be required in order to be able to roll out these initiatives that has been put forth before you?
Oh, mainly the issues are because of us anyway, yeah. Because we wanted to become trailblazers. So we have been pushing for new policies to be rolled out. For example, the third-party access or the so-called corporate renewable energy supply scheme, uh, and also ground-mounted self-consumption scheme, which recently announced. It was announced last year actually, but it was basically perfected only recently with the new SSC being announced. But, but from a developer perspective, I would say energy transition basically are centered on three main levers. First, it will be the policy and regulatory certainty. Investors and banks, we thrive on predictability. So that's why with new policies, it may take a minute for us to adapt, right? Unfortunately, Petra is not here, but if Puan Marina can join us, I would like to say one thing that the ministry has done a good job, actually. They have been listening to our propositions. They kept an open channel for us to give feedbacks. And that's why the policy took a while for it to be perfected, but we are almost there. And I can actually appreciate the fact that it takes some time and it may not came out the way that we want it to be, because the regulators and also the ministry, they try to balance between the ask from us, industry players, and also the integrity of the system. That being said, the second lever would be the grid readiness. As a planner myself, I know one thing for sure, that the grid, the robust grid that we're enjoying right now, is based on plannings and careful studies done by the old-timers 20 years ago. So, and the revision of the plan is being done annually in making sure that the system kept intact due to the evolution of the technology and market push. But that being said, the system has not always been designed to withstand intermittency from solar and all the new technologies penetration recently. So that being said, I also would like to emphasize the fact that TMB has been very supportive. We've been working on studies together with them in making sure that whatever that we would want to propose are carefully considered. And I am glad that they have recognized battery storage as a legitimate grid balancing asset. So hence why most of our projects right now are battery integrated in making sure that the system is intact. The last lever would be bankability. Right. So these new schemes introduced by the ministry, it's new to everyone, because all this while, all the players, they have always been used to having TMB as the ultimate off-takers. So TMB is strong, TMB is big, TMB is bankable. But now we're looking at corporate off-takers with questionable bankability, considering the fact that they are not as big as TMB. And yeah, for what it is worth, TMB is a regulated monopoly, so that is one thing. But then again, we've been working with the off-takers, trying to find the balance in the PPA itself, which is the BESC, in making sure that the project is bankable. Yeah, that is what we have been doing for the past 2 years. Come to think about it, there's a lot that has been done. It's just that I have always been hustling. So when you ask me to list it down, and I can see that it's quite overwhelming list. And so yeah. Thank you for asking those questions.
Thank you very much, Hafifi. I do realize that in my past, I've actually served the Ministry of Energy for 15 years. And it does take time for all these policies to evolve. And I think sometimes it's also lessons learned from both sides, the policy side, as well as balancing between the industry side. Now, I'm going to also move along to Puan Nazira already. Puan Nazira, I think the gain to fame is that really Petronas in the year 2020 became the first oil and gas company in Southeast Asia to actually very boldly actually declare their net zero carbon emissions by 2050. Now, and this is actually declared 5 years ago. So against this backdrop, within these 5 years, can you just share with us your energy transitions, or rather Petronas energy transition strategies, and how, especially this is a carbon market forum, how does it relate to this carbon market? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Winnie, and thank you also for having Petronas on your panel today. It's a pleasure for us to be here to support Bursa. Before I start, or before I begin, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Azira Azizan. I am from the Corporate Sustainability Department in Petronas. My portfolio is actually on sustainability-related policy and regulations, and that it also includes some of the social aspect of Petronas' journey also in my portfolio. I've been in Petronas for a very long time, but my background has always been in capital markets, actually. So I'm actually a bond specialist, but now I'm turning into a carbon market specialist. I hope so. Right. Back to your question, Dr. Winnie. So you're right to say that we were the first company in Southeast Asia to announce our net zero carbon emission target by 2050. And further to that, in 2022, we announced our Petronas net zero carbon emission pathway. So in short, we call it as NZCE 2050. What this entails is that it sets our short, medium, long-term targets to guide the group-wide actions into meeting our net zero targets. And in the last 2 years, 2024, actually that was just last year, we have successfully met our short-term targets to cap Malaysia's Scope 1 and Scope 2 emissions at 49.5 million tons of CO2 equivalent. And most of the GHG emissions reduction came from our Malaysian operations. We're very proud of this achievement, and it shows that we are very serious as a company in terms of reducing our emissions. Right? And if I can just also elaborate a little bit on our NZCE 2050 pathway, we adopted a two-pronged approach that is complementary in terms of in its two pillars. So if I can start with the first approach, it is to reduce our emissions from our core business. We are a hydrocarbon company, and we are deliberate to decarbonize our operations through actions such as zero routine flaring or energy efficiency. Our second pillar is on scaling up. in terms of and accelerating the deployment of low carbon solution for our customers. And for this, we focus on 6 low carbon solutions, such as bio-based solutions, CCS as a service, or hydrogen. I'm surprised to know Hanafi was in Gentari, so Gentari was involved in hydrogen and green mob. Welcome, welcome and maybe goodbye to you then. Okay, carbon markets, Dr. Winnie, you mentioned about what is our view on carbon markets. We see this as an important enabler, both compliance and voluntary, because it helps us to reach our net zero carbon emission. Compliance carbon market, such as emissions trading system or ETS, for us, it will provide the regulatory impetus for the economy to reach a decarbonization-wide target. While the voluntary carbon market, it offers us as a corporate the flexibility and cost efficiency. When it comes to carbon markets, we know that we only use high quality, high integrity carbon credits to offset our remaining hardest to abate emissions. But, and this is a big but for us, we will only use offsets as the last resort after we fully exhausted our decarbonization efforts. So yes, yeah, that's what I have to say about Petronas's journey.
I think, first of all, congratulations, for 2024 that Petronas have actually managed to achieve your cap of, Scope 1 and Scope 2 of the 49.5 million tons of CO2. That's really incredible. And completely agree that, without any carbon market, there will be actually no net zero aspirations as well. But I think on that note, Azira, I just want to very quickly pivot to the next question, similar to what I've asked Hafifi about the key issues. I'm sure that Petronas, you would have faced your issues and enablers. What will be the enablers that are needed to ensure that Petronas successfully roll out your energy transition strategies, and in particularly to build a conducive carbon market to support the projects to be able to enable, for example, renewables and also future carbon credit supplies. Thank you.
Right. Just like how Hanafi mentioned just now, the challenges that UEM face, I totally agree to the challenges that, some of the challenges that UEM faces in terms of clarity and predictability. And for us, the biggest challenge in Malaysia's energy transition system is to have clear and aligned policies that connect short, medium, and long-term goals across national, sectoral policies and regulations. So in other words, we find that, that one of the challenge for us is to have a cohesive framework, and that's crucial. And why it matters to us is because it guides private sectors across, on the country's direction and how carbon markets support the national goals. It also helps to channel investments into low carbon solutions that is much needed at this point. I think you also asked about enablers, right? So for us, enabler, Hanafi mentioned it very well. I don't want to repeat what Hanafi mentioned, but it is policy clarity. What this means is that having a strong policy framework which combines economy-wide tools and new specific policy mechanism. To us, this approach will give the business and investors confidence to commit into long-term capital. The second enabler for us is the role of carbon markets and the contribution and their contribution to the country's NDC and LT-LEDs. And we feel that, or we believe it should be defined and reflected in policies. Again, this gives the clarity, the confidence for industry to leverage carbon credits and markets in their low carbon investments. And then finally, I just want to emphasize how important data integrity and verification is. With strong governance, with robust MRV and registry system that's aligned with international standards. Thank you.
Amazing. I think there has been a lot of even cohesiveness with this particular panel. I can hear that policy certainty, cohesiveness is already, actually not just discussed in this particular panel, but in the other earlier panels as well. And I'm going to move on now to Rick. Rick, same question as well. Introduce very quickly about yourself and also what is Zaxxon Renewables doing in terms of the energy transition plans. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Winnie. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Rick from Zaxxon Renewables. So, FYI, Zaxxon Renewables is part of SolarWest, one of the largest clean energies companies listed in Malaysia. So, what Zaxxon Renewables doing is we provide consultations to corporates or companies to achieve 100% renewable energies and also to achieve the carbon neutrality. Right? So, we supply racks across the Asian regions. So Asian region racks, we have a very robust supply and also carbon credits trading as well. So at the same time, we are also a carbon projects developers. We are now having one project registering under VERA that under the transportation's methodologies, under the EV methodologies that we can generate carbon credits through EV chargers across the Southeast Asia countries that we still meet the additionalities baseline, the threshold. Right. So not only on that, I mean, we also consult our clients on, for example, on the on-site solar project installations, whether it's on-site capex projects or on-site PPA projects, to off-site PPA projects and virtual PPA projects, and or on the green tariff and also the unbundled RECs part. Yeah, so that's what we do in general. Yeah.
I think that's really amazing that you've talked about the EV chargers. Perhaps many within the electricity sector, they may not realize that actually you can actually use carbon market to actually decarbonize the electricity sector. Not all projects, like for example, solar is actually not eligible anymore, but for example, EV chargers, and the other one is of course the biogas as well. Malaysia, I mean for BCX, we are very fortunate to be able to actually auction the very first Malaysian biogas.
Yeah,
but
I thought up on the EV chargers part. The reason why we go into these EV projects is we talk to a lot of the local CPO and overseas CPO. A lot of them, the financials is not really not making economically sense yet, because due to the chicken and egg issue, when there's not enough EV chargers in the market, then it slows down the EV cars transitions. So when there's slow down the EV car transitions, then the EV chargers will become lesser. Right? So I mean, these credits that we hopes to go in as additional financial benefits to the CPO, so that they can take this as a subsidy on their financial model, so that they can continue to build more EV chargers in the markets.
Actually, with regards to this is a very important point. And in other panels that I've learned from the project developers of renewable as well as from the carbon projects, the ability to produce carbon credits and RECs are really for the stacking of revenue to make a project a bit more financial viable. And I think for the EV charger, definitely you have a very strong additionality or financial additionality. But Rick, I just want to also give you the same questions I've given to the others. In terms of, in these years that you have gone through the journey, what are the challenges? And I'm sure that you must have faced many challenges. Rolling out your projects, and as well as what do you think are the enablers, whether your enablers dovetail into what these panelists have mentioned before. Thank you.
Yeah, I think what I can share on the lesson learned on the energy transition roadmap, especially in Malaysia, all those fundamentals, all these challenges, I think my colleagues, Hafifi has already mentioned that you must have a good policies, robust the grid infrastructures, and also the financing part, right? So I think since we have been already mentioned this, then I will not talk into all these market challenges anymore. But I mean today I would like to share some things on top of these three, which is on the enabler. So I think these 3 years, we have seen some different enablers which really drive a lot on the which really accelerate the energy transitions a lot. So when we talk about the enable, my take is there's two enable. First is the financial enables. So people invest in renewable energies, whether it's you install it for your business saving, or you install a large-scale solar farm for some profits, right? So in the financials enable. So without the financial enables, I don't believe that anyone want to go for solar if, let's say, there's no financial enable, right? So LSS has been a very successful one that then the IRR has been constantly around 7 to 8%, which a lot of developers and investors are very happy with that. But on the CNI sectors, recently after the electricity tariff reform, from the high electricity tariff drop to the lower electricity tariff, then with the export, NAM policy will be changing soon, it will slightly probably reduce some of the ROI. But we do see that when the market come into this mature stage, the take-up rate is still continuous, right? Although, I mean, the return is slightly lower, but it still feel attractive for people to on long-term savings. So that one is on the financials enable side. But these 2 years, what we can see is on the enables enable side is on the external pressure, right? So it's whether from the regulatory pressure, from the shareholder pressure, from your investor, from your clients, from the markets, right? So we have been seeing this really drive the markets alone, it's a lot. So 2 years ago, when we just started the REX business in Malaysia, nobody thought about REX by that times. Then slowly on, we have seen that the corporate slowly moving to talk to the government, says that, hey, we need REX in order for us to come into your countries, right? If let's say I come to your countries and we don't have channels for us to acquire renewable energy, it will have an impact to us. Then with that coming in, the REX demand coming in, we have CGPP coming out very fast, right? The first, the large-scale projects that really cater for these off-takers, right? Previously, when we don't have this external pressure, we can only have NEDA. So NEDA alone, we know that it won't move because of the fluctuating S&P the S&P tariff. So when the corporate factor coming in, it become bankable, the CGPP model. Then later on, we have a green tariff. Later on, we have the CRES. All are focusing on the externals, the large corps, the demand. So that one is on the policy side. But in the lower scale side, I mean in the lower market scale side, we do see that a lot of SME come to us and they start to say, hey, we want to buy REX. Hey, why? Because we have been pressuring by Nestle, pressuring by Decathlon. Then hey, they asked me to buy, right? Then we asked them, oh, okay, so have you done the carbon accounting already or not? What is your scope 2? Oh, we didn't do anything. We just buy just to fulfill my client's requirement. I mean, somehow it's not correct, but somehow it slowly become a pressure to the clients that, okay, this year I buy, next year I buy. Hey, do I need to buy this every year when the kilowatt hour that consumptions that slowly goes by every year? Then they started to ask us, hey, if I don't want to buy every year, what can I do? Then, of course, install solar, right? So with the external pressure coming in, it drives the corporates slowly to move into the renewable energy as the external pressure other than the financials driver. So then we can see that it started to move faster. But voluntary, yeah, we have seen that voluntary have been pushing so much. But I think this, when the market's getting more matured, I will believe that after a few years, the mandatory renewable energies compliances market should coming in to, like, for example, we copying like Philippines, India, or Australia, that they slowly have the government targets on the renewable energies consumptions. Then I think that time will even push faster on the locals, the energy transitions, the pace. Right? That's my take. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Rick, for your interventions. And I think this dovetails very nicely to my next set of questions because we've been talking a lot about carbon credits and RECs. And for the crowd's information, this is where I have to do a bit of a promotion that the Bursa Carbon Exchange also offers carbon credits and RECs. Now, my next set of questions would be very much basically serving the objective of this particular plenary, which is basically to talk about the roles of exchanges in facilitating the energy transition. So we have actually, for Bursa Malaysia, signed memorandum of collaboration with UEM Lestra in July. And of course, this morning we signed just with Sarawak Energy. So maybe on this note, Erwan, I'm just going to very quickly ask you, Sarawak Energy, we signed together an MOC this morning, or rather we have an exchange. And the objective of this is to actually auction Sarawak Energy's hydropower RECs under a long-term off-take agreement, potentially with the Bakun Hydro. But maybe can you provide us a bit of information about the auction, like for example, if you have any timeline in mind, and what is the significance of this auction for Sarawak Energy?
Yeah, I think in terms of timeline, it will be the auction will be in Q1 next year. That's one. I think for Sarawak Energy, this is quite significant because we would like to explore the premium of the certification, the international hydropower sustainability standards that we are getting certified in. So I think that should reflect in the pricing of the REC, right? So because again, all this, when we talk about ESG, it's all about risk. By getting certification, so most of the risks, especially the 12 material risks in hydropower operations and development, is proven. There's a process to manage it, and it's been endorsed by international independent assessors. So I think it's a price discovery. The investment been done by Sarawak Energy, not only on the monetary side, but also the capacity development throughout the whole systems. And then investment start from the corporate policies, actual processes on the ground, and so on. So I think the main one will be on that one, on the price discovery. So hopefully, part of the MOC, MOU is basically to assess all this, all right, to assess and then to create awareness on REC, right? So I think that's the main objective of this MOC with Bursa. Again, we would like to thank Bursa for this, to provide this platform for us to explore all this, and we see how it goes. Thank you.
Congratulations. And you will be the first of the auctions for the Rex Hydro. And of course, moving on very quickly now to Hafifi. We signed an MOC back in July 22nd. And during that time, we issued a press release and we mentioned specifically that at the Malaysia Carbon Market Forum, UEM Lestra will provide some updates since the signing of the MOC. How is the progress getting on? Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Winnie. So following our MOC with Bursa on the 22nd July 2025, we are preparing ourselves to launch the Malaysia's first ever BESC auction sometime in November, tentatively on the 27th of November 2025. From July till now, we have been busy identifying a specific site for us to generate the green energy. We have done thorough feasibility study on that particular site. And currently we are at the pre-development stage where we are about to release the tender for the development of that project. To those who do not know what is this BESC auction is all about, it is basically a matchmaking platform. Yeah. So back in July, when we were busy prepping our site, and then we were thinking that, man, we don't have the resources to go out there and get us off-takers. So what we did was, we went and talked to Rizal and told him, yeah, I got this idea. We may need a platform for us to find off-takers. It works exactly like Tinder, where we put up our profile, and then we let all those guys who are interested in us to come and swipe right. So yeah, so this particular auction is basically about that. That's why we are prepping the site in order for us to put up a good profile, so that people will be interested in the green energy that will be produced from our project. That being said, we have some details on the so-called profile. We are actually going to launch the auction with a floor tariff of 34 cents per kilowatt hour minus the system access charge. And that site can produce about 90,000 megawatt hour of clean green energy, firm energy annually. And we're still debating on the tenure of the PPA, but based on the roadshows that we have conducted and the feedbacks that we get from our targeted off-takers, which mainly are the data centers, we may need to look at a shorter tenure for the contract. We are probably looking at 10 years. What I can say right now, we will announce the final detail once we are ready to launch the auction, and we expect to do that if once we get a comfortable number of qualified bidders on board the Bursa exchange. Probably looking at early November for that. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically pretty much about the auction that we would like to do with Bursa. And thank you so much to Bursa for entertaining our request. It may sound crazy at the beginning, but yeah, now it makes much more sense. Thank you.
Actually, we want to thank UEM Lestra because as a result of your request, today we have actually signed 2 MOC partners that are sitting here that are actually utilizing our auction as a service. So result over there, now we have got some timeline. Hydro will be somewhere looking around Q1 and end of November for the first CREST auction in the country. So moving now to Puan Azira, and this is still with regards to a very self-serving question about the BCX. So at this juncture, you know that BCX offer, we are trading in the voluntary carbon market. And I think the question here is that how should exchanges ensure that the carbon credits traded are recognized as high quality, verifiable instruments that meet global standards, and of course, very importantly, support Petronas energy transition strategies. Petronas is of course also a BCX participant. Thank you.
Yes, we are. We have participated in a few rounds of auctions by BCX. And that's precisely the confidence that we have on market mechanisms like Bursa Carbon Exchange to play an important role by converting opportunities into verifiable and tradable transactions or impact. So back to your question, we believe that there are a few elements that exchanges like BCX can embed. This morning, there was a rich discussion. There was a lot of discussions on trust, transparency, and alignment with global standards. And that's Petronas' firm belief in how the market should move. And to that extent, how BCX can also promote and demonstrate those type of qualities or maybe expectation to the market. And why we say that is because that would enable private sector, including Petronas. We have a global footprint, and it's important that we go into transactions that's credible and with integrity. And for this, when we leverage on VCM, it is going to be part of our decarbonization journey. On this matter, how we can support BCX. What we like to highlight is probably two focus that maybe as a suggestion for BCX. I'm sure that you've already done some of this, but we just want to emphasize. One is to adopt core carbon principles as the market baseline for credit offerings on the exchange. ICVCM spoke this morning. Amy spoke about ICVCM CCP, and we would like to see more of the carbon credits on BCX that's aligned to ICVCM CCP. I mean, I know that there are not many credits of that label, but I think over time with demand and supply, the market would create by itself. Again, just also to emphasize that why we need that is it demonstrates that the credits comes with strong governance, that's environmental integrity and sustainability development safeguards. Secondly, we maybe, as a focus area is for BCX to consider collaborating with independent credit rating agencies to create transparency around credit quality. So this is essential. There are a lot of credible independent credit rating agencies like B0, Salvera, that can evaluate credits based on factors, such as additionality, permanence, risk, leakages, and co-benefits. This, to us, empowers businesses or maybe buyers to make informed purchasing decision, and that is to some extent differentiates what high integrity credit quality is versus the low ones. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think these are really amazing ideas, especially with the crediting agencies like B0s and also, of course, Salvera. And just to let the audience know that actually for BCX, we do not accept credits or RECs, lock, stock, and barrel. Just because they come from Vera or Gold Standard or the IREX standard, we still apply over and above additional screening. For example, for the vintages, we are very careful with the vintages. For the RECs, we will not accept anything older than 2 years, and vintages for carbon credits, nothing older than 2016. And scrutinizing the background of the companies as well and the project developers. Now moving on, I'm very highly cognizant of the time that we only have 6 minutes left. To Rick as well, and Rick of course is also another carbon market participant and REX market participant as well in BCX. Same question that I posed to you as I've posed Puan Azira. How can exchanges like us improve and support you in your energy transition strategies? Thank you.
I think as a traders of RECs and carbon credits, I mean, a good side of BCX is on the auction part. It serves features for us to have price discoveries on whether our upcoming EV carbon credits, right? We want to see where's the price or this, or I mean the past RECs auctions, that we are able to know what is the fair market price that can be acceptable in the markets. I promised Dr. Chen that I will give honest feedbacks on how BCS can actually help us improve and help us, because we are actually using multiples of the carbon exchange in the world, right? So as a traders, what are the things that we need the most? Is the liquidity, right? So we tap on the different fragmentations of the liquidity on the different exchange, right? That's the purpose of why we are participating with so many of the carbon exchange. So one of the intentions of we are supporting BCS is, of course, we also want to tap on the Malaysia or the Bursa liquidity on this part. So I would say that I understand that currently it's not a BCX problems. It's actually global problems on most of the carbon exchange out there also facing the same problem, which is the liquidity problems, right? So if let's say, Bursa, but all the while, BCX has been facilitating quite some projects in the markets. So we are very appreciating that. But in long run, if let's say there's more liquidity in the markets, then it will slowly attract more people to go in to see, hey, is there any offer or is there any bid in the market or not? Right? I think liquidity is really very, very important things for us. I think the second one, we also to understand the challenges of BCX as a compliance Bursa. All these very rigid and robust compliances, right? But somehow when come to a marketplace, when the traders want to have some fast tradings, it somehow will slow down the process, then slowly hinder some of the traders. They start to, hey, yeah, why not we do that way? And they want to slow already or whatever. But I understand that's the current challenge, but how to find a sweet spot that, hey, we are okay with doing this, while we also can tap on the features that BCX have. Then when we can find a sweet spot, then I believe that a lot of us that will be very happy to continue to use more on the BCX platform, right? So of course, we are appreciating what BCX currently have, but we hope that if both of us, the market also evolve, we also hope that we evolve, then we can evolve together with BCX so that we can have more collaborations in the future. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Rick, for very honest, responses. Certainly, we'll take it back to the drawing board about of course, the liquidity. I think earlier on there were some speakers that says that liquidity does beget liquidity, and I think that's where in your earlier point you were saying that it would also be helpful when the compliance market kicks in. I think recently for this year we have seen kind of like a downturn in terms of the REX market. But we also believe that if you look at countries like, for example, India and Philippines that have the compliance REX market, they kind of like provide a baseline kind of like a requirement. Now, I'm only having 2.5 minutes left, and I'm going to go through very quickly, each of you, the panelists, what would be your top 3 priorities, issues that you would like to see addressed, and especially in achieving your aspirations in your energy transition. Firstly, starting off with Mr. Irwan. Thank you.
Yeah, I think for corporates, we need to understand the rules of REX and carbon credits, how we can embed it into our strategic planning or decarbonization planning, right? Regardless whatever happened. So it's going beyond requirements, beyond legislation. We need to anticipate future requirements, changes in taxonomy, and so on. I will not touch on the expectation to change the external factors, but I think as a corporate, we should be able to anticipate, reading the trend, analyze internally what we can do, and how we can overcome and support the bigger agenda or ambitions for the state as well as for the country itself. I think that's the point that I would like to highlight, Dr. Winnie. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hafifi?
Just to keep it short, Lestra will prioritize on 3 actions. First, execution certainty. We will translate policies into bankable, shovel-ready projects with clear grid access, land readiness, and defined permitting. Second, seamless market integration, like the thing that we are doing now with Bursa, to link green certificates and physical RE supply into a single, transparent ecosystem, which rewards verifiable decarbonization. And third, collaboration and trust. We are going to build partnerships between government, GLC such as ourselves, corporate off-takers and financiers, because Malaysia's energy transition will not be won by ambition alone. It will be won by credibility, collaboration, and consistency. Thank you.
Absolutely. Azira?
if I could just maybe start first with what is clear to us is credibility first, scale second. And for us, if we talk about Bursa's involvement, how VCM market can, to us, it can only last if participants believe in integrity in the market. So if I can just summarize Petronas's top 3 priorities on this is, to us, there should be a clear and consistent policy, and one that integrates carbon market into the broader national climate and energy policies. The next one is, I spoke about how we need much of the robust MRV system, meaning that the integrity assurance, so that there's transparent disclosure requirements and having proper recording and verification system in place. The final one to us is liquidity. Again, this was much talked about this morning, and our colleague here also mentioned about how much liquidity is needed. That market must be deep enough for projects, participants, and having transaction volume to ensure that there's true market and true price for the carbon. So in his case, Petronas encourages efforts to expand VCM participations by corporates, by financial institutions, and regional partners to create that deeper pool of buyer and suppliers or sellers in the market. Thanks.
Fantastic. And Rick?
For Saxon Renewables, we have 3 top priority. First one is continue to educate more customers, especially that those SME that who just recently come in shop with all the pressure and they don't know what to do. Continue to educate them, consult them on, you can do this, do that. Continue working hard to consult more SME. Secondly, continue to offering more solutions to implement for the customers, whether it's solar, EV, or any kind of decarbonization solutions. They need to start implement. Right? Don't always just talk, but they don't do. Right? They need to somehow start to implement something. Then the third one, for us, like what Hafizi said, that we need partnerships. Right, we can't go alone. I don't know everything, right? Like some of the sector of the decarbonization's journey, we still need other partners, right? So continue to build more partners, whether it's a trader partners, consultant partners, or financial partners. Continue to build more partners in the market. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. It has been amazing, and I think in my own summary, my own 3 priorities would be, I think policy clarity, and also consistency and certainty, underpinned by the 3 Cs. Secondly, I felt that the subject on integrity has been coming out very, very strongly. Thank you for the points on the BCX. And lastly, I love the point about collaboration. I think within the spirit of the ASEAN, it is something that we cannot do alone in Malaysia. We do need collaboration, at least minimally at the ASEAN level. So ladies and gentlemen, please join me in hands to thank the participants, thank the panelists this afternoon. Thank you.